Hungry Trilobyte podcast would like to start by acknowledging these fine conventions.
SoonerCon. Central Oklahoma's longest-running pop culture convention is back. SoonerCon 31 is scheduled for June 30th through July 2nd, 2023, in Norman, Oklahoma. It promises a weekend full of tabletop gaming, cosplay, and appreciation for literary sci-fi as well as TV and comics. Visit SoonerCon.com for more information. The Hellmouth Convention. The Hellmouth Convention is designed by fans for fans, with the aim of harnessing the power of fandom to raise money for charities. The Hellmouth Convention celebrates all fandoms, but particularly things like Buffy, Firefly, and Dr. Horrible. Like the Hellmouth itself, things gravitate toward it that you may not find anywhere else. The next event is scheduled for June 9th through 11th, 2023, in Los Angeles, California.
On tap today, we have David Wilson. How are you doing this day, good sir?
I'm great, thank you. I'm marvelous. Nice to see you. How are you doing?
I am doing fantastic. It is a warm, very warm day out there, but I'm looking forward to sitting in the cool and talking creativity with you.
Yeah, we're not quite so warm, which is probably a good thing. They're predicting 40 degrees down in London, so I think I'm well out of that one.
I was very drawn to how you handle your approach to writing, because unlike a lot of the authors I talked to, you didn't just jump right into writing. You had a whole range with things like radio and other projects before you came to that.
Well, kind of not really. The writing had been going on for, I guess, decades. But it was more just for myself. And it was a kind of psychiatric self-defense. A writer just writes. If you can get stuff out of your head, then great. If it ends up in paper in such a form that someone else wants to read it, I guess that's a bonus. Yeah, I guess if someone else wants to read what falls out of your head, that's a bonus, It kind of, I did get published earlier. What I'm used to is, I guess, what people do thrillers, and that was the way the stuff that was fell in my head. My son Finn is a big horror fan. Oh, he's a huge horror fan, but he's also a musician. He composes plays and records and produces kinds of music. A lot of it seems to get used for the indie horror films or soundtracks. Well, I thought one year, why not give my personalized Christmas present and write something for it. So I wrote a little horror story, which you like, more of it. And then one day I got what I thought was a spam email, to scammer, saying, "You won the publisher's competition and you've been longlisted." And I had typed out a nice sarcastic email, and my finger was literally hovering over the send button. The thing said to me and said, "Oh, but the publisher's been in touch yet." So I said, "What do you mean?" And he had, it turns out he'd sent the story away to a publisher who ran a sort of short story publisher. And I had been longlisted for it, the first story I ever wrote. So, that's nice. But then the radio got over the story. And then do something with them, read it out online, tell my story. By which time I had all ready, because I just don't stop writing. And if you're a writer, you just write. So having got on to all the short stories, I think another, I don't know, 10 or 12 by this point. So
That's
sorry.
Yeah, well, just the thing about when writing hits you and you finally find something that you almost find your voice. That's the cliche. You can't stop once you hit that point.
Oh no, you can't.
So you're pitching stuff now. You're practicing your craft in the background here. If you hit something, if you get the golden opportunity, a story that you'd really like to tell, how do you plan to attack that? What do you see that being like?
In terms of what writing it?
Well, in terms of what kind of uh, what plot elements really excite you? Is there a type of book that you model or a type of story that you feel drawn to?
I really think that isn't.
Okay.
Um, I I realize that's probably not the answer everyone does here, but I read everything. I mean, most of it. If it's not real, if it's not science based, I have enormous difficulty putting it on paper. I'm still trying to do it.
Mhm. Yeah, it's something that draws on the real life science that we're seeing right now. Those stories can be
Yeah, exactly.
compelling, and yeah, and when the audience can connect them because they can see it in the world right next to them, that's really fun. Do you have colleagues or writing groups that you lean on? No.
Not because I don't want them. I live in a very isolated place. Um,
That could be rough because
Yeah,
I was found myself in the same position a couple of years back. A lot of writing advice you'll forget will tell you that you should have groups to lean on and peers, and that's right. It's good
sure.
advice, but it depends entirely on the people you're leaning on having good feedback and having the skills to give that feedback, and that's not guaranteed in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, absolutely. But if there's on the other side of that is just pure enthusiasm, if it's fun, then you probably learn something from it.
And there are online places you can go that can help you grow that. But then you have the same kind of fear is that what if the person reading this isn't in a good place to give you a good feed review on what you're submitting there?
Sure. Online's all very well, but I think, if you're talking about creative endeavors, I really prefer face to face. It's nice to be in a group of people, physically in a group of people.
Mhm,
And just
mhm.
interacting.
When you would see the communities that they get formed up, we met through Twitter, for example,
Yeah.
and what's your take on how those communities relate to each other and the level of respect that a lot of artists have seen?
I don't really know because I've never dealt with them.
Okay, that can be a good thing.
Yeah, well, I've heard stories, and I guess it just depends who you end up being in touch with. It depends on the individual. One thing I have found is just on Twitter, the writers, also writing groups, but just the writers community is the most supportive community I've ever worked with, especially, I have to say, foreign writers.
Indeed, I one thing I've seen is that there's a lot of clickiness between writers of different genres, which you really wouldn't necessarily expect there to be like that. And,
Yeah,
and genres are fluid now. You can combine them very easily, and the audience seems to go along with that.
yeah, I agree. There's a great deal more cross-channel work going on, which suits me. I don't really, I've never believed in genre. And the whole definition of a genre is a mechanism invented by a marketer. If you're a writer, you just have to write, and you have to write what comes out of your head.
Mhm.
And, life doesn't work in genres. So you're writing about a series of events that happens. Who cares what genre it is? If this is how it works and it works well, then you just write it.
In when you say, so what is your favorite? I don't want to say what's your favorite book. What's your favorite story that has captured your imagination and made you and it kind of got you to see the value in reaching for these new worlds?
And then, standards like HP Lovecraft, some of those stories I absolutely love, some I really quite hate. Just depends on the story. M.R. James, I love getting into M.R. James. Takes me a while because he was back in the 1800s. And I guess the style of writing is so these days unusual. And it's a very old-fashioned style of writing. You have to get your head into that form of language. The original then up-to-date guys like Chris Looper, who is known for anything but horror, sort of sorcery, stuff like that. He wrote a wonderful book, one of my favorite horror stories, called Our Lady of Darkness. And that is very little in the way of it's almost all about atmosphere. And I guess, the first project I did my short stories, at least one of them, were exercises in developing atmosphere. The learning how to write atmosphere is the trickiest thing I think I've ever done. But it's well worth it. I mean, it's great fun trying to write atmosphere. You actually to show it right. Give the reader a chill without involving gore or monsters or anything like that.
And you're definitely seem to be a person that looks into the idea of a world of the mind, or the broad stories of older types of science fiction, I should say. Lovecraft is one that I've struggled with a little bit. I'll be honest with you. It seems like the fact that it's almost become a meme that it weakens it.
Yeah, I have problems with that too. But horror writing based on the same sort of geographical and cultural context, like you, Vermont, for instance. I mean, there are guys who can really pull that off, and this is bringing it up to date. People like Joseph Simple, who not everyone is there. So we were talking about HP Lovecraft.
Yes.
The whole New England thing.
Yes.
So the whole New England thing, and some of his stories working, some becoming more meme-like these days. And I absolutely agree with that. Then I mentioned guys like who are still alive, guys who brought that New England sort of folklore more up to date. Guys who are still writing, Joseph A. Sickle being one of them. He wrote a couple of books, many books, but one is Shadow Child, one Lake Monsters. Fantastic New England stories. Very kind of almost idiom, if you like. Much in the Stephen King gets that sort of folksy kind of own style. He gives a sort of also written a whole bunch of documented a bunch of the real additions to those stories, the monster stories. He's sometimes called the Postmaster General, because he's become a sort of weird side historian for Vermont. Also recently brought out an autobiography, which is actually been written in 100 chapters, each of exactly 100 words, which is a fantastically interesting exercise to attempt yourself. And it certainly leaves the reader wanting more. I mean, 100 words is nothing. You're wondering, how this story goes on, but then he goes on to the next chapter. Fantastic. And that's all right. Yeah, that's still on. I was in fact only been out like 3 months ago. There's a Welsh writer called Catherine McCarthy currently writing. She brought out a collection of stories called Myths and Monoliths. And we were talking about genres earlier, and I was saying how I despise the whole genre thing as being a construct of marketers. But hers would definitely fall into the sort of folk horror. I think the whole genre thing really narrows the focus, it narrows the consumer's focus rather than expanding it. Because it's someone who buys books has the conception that, I read folk horror, then they're only going to look around folk horror. There's so much wonderful writing out there. I think a big book should just be marked as a good book.
Yeah, I sitting here listening to you talk about Lovecraft and the word I used earlier was memification, and then you make the really, really good point about Stephen King, and I suddenly think, okay, almost the same thing happened, but he almost did it to himself, and I like Stephen King a lot.
Me too. I love his writing, but I agree he always did it to himself. It's like he's too good or too prolific. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the films that they made of his works are
he was famous for not liking the movie versions of almost anything he wrote, and I'd like to, but you kept making them.
Yeah,
so.
Sure. Well, if that's how you make your living,
Yeah.
then hey, go make a living.
I don't begrudge you the paycheck, but at the when people are mostly remembering you from the movie versions that you didn't like, and I strongly encourage people to go back and read the source material because it's much better in terms of world building. It's much better in terms of it making sense.
Yes,
and
especially making sense.
Yes, it's actually not necessarily as scary, but more engaging, if that makes any sense.
Yes, absolutely. I found his writing far more engaging than anything else.
It's now that we're in an era when the connected universe is suddenly trendy, where it wasn't for quite a while, except for the core fans. I really feel like that's material that's ideal for that people are just kind of passing over.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there's a whole bunch of material out there these days. People don't seem to be taking up the options. I wonder if filmmakers have sort of lost their courage. They simply want to make remakes of films which were huge box office hits. People should be taking up, new stories, new writers, and some companies are paying a little for film rights to people that, but nothing then gets done with it. And that's a real change. There's a lot of new stuff out there which would make really tremendous films. Why is no one making it? I think it's financial and commercial benefits.
I like that word courage because that really is what it boils down to. In an era when financial success with genre material is so likely to not take risks on very good but unknown properties, it's a real shame. It shows that
it really is. And if you look at all the biggest box office hits, that is what they did. They did take a risk with new material. That's how they ended up with such a big box office hit. And unless you do that again, you're not going to have that kind of commercial success.
It's almost like that the courage, and I would say the calculated risk taking, to be willing to say this doesn't have to be a hit, but if it doesn't lose a ton of money, we might have something down the road to try something out, let it grow legs.
Exactly. I completely agree. I mean, look at Jaws, for instance. I mean, that was a relatively commercially successful film, but only relatively. And the visuals weren't there in the beginning. As soon as Spielberg made the film, there's one of the biggest films that was ever made.
Yeah, we had a couple of people that worked on Jaws on here, and that the fact that it came together the way it did, it started out, from a book that wasn't super related to the movie. It had its connections, but they went through a big revision in the novel to script process, and then the movie had very modest ambitions at first, even though it was technically great, but they just wanted to make a good movie, and they did, and people grabbed onto it.
They sure said that. But as you say, that's how we started out. We just said, hey, let's make a non-crap movie. Let's make something that breaks even, that makes it, maybe even makes a bit of a profit. You can't go for a blockbuster because you have no idea what will be a blockbuster. No clue until it becomes a blockbuster. You just have to make a good film. And it's a bit like writing a book. To start with, you have to write what can go in your head. But then you were thinking, well, let's just polish it up, make it, acceptable to a reader. And if it then becomes a bit thick, fine. But I don't think if you sit down and write one.
It's unfortunate, and I always love to go back to the original source material, the books, the comics, or whatever the thing started out as the way to watch that seed grow. And
Yeah.
I think the fact that we're fast tracking everything, that it has to go from an idea to a multi-billion-dollar franchise within about 3 months,
Yeah,
that's tragic for the creators.
it really is. It really is. And it's the creators that produce everything. You know, if you didn't have creators, what kind of films would you make?
Indeed, indeed. Well, David, I really like where this is going here. Like I said, I've had a little trouble catching every bit of it here, but I want to quit while we're ahead. Where can
Okay.
people follow your adventures on the internet?
Thank you. They follow me on Twitter at DP Wilson Author. I think I have some stuff up on Medium that would also be under DP Wilson Author. I have a fair bit of stuff on SoundCloud, which is really the audio files from some of my radio broadcasts. So that's some of the stories I've written, just rereading them. That's all you can find at the moment, apart from there's a couple of short stories that were published in a horror zine, like Genie Rector's magazine. People like Lance Campbell, Stephen King, like that for free because it's one of those sort of platforms, I guess. So I was very honored to have a couple of pieces accepted for that. I don't really understand the idea. I'm not complaining. I've got a couple of things published by a Scottish publishing company called Clovis, CROWS. They do a short horror anthology every year, a sort of Christmas ghost story anthology. So there's last year's one, I had one published in, that's called Seasonal Spectres, again, by Clovis, and that's available on Amazon. There should be another one coming out this Christmas, a story I've just sent it will be accepted for that one. I have no idea what the title will be yet, but I'll put as much on Medium and SoundCloud as I'm allowed, basically. SoundCloud, you don't get a lot of space stories, a lot of space for music, but they only allow you a certain amount of time, and then you have to pay a month for that. These stories aren't, I'm not selling them, they're not for school, so I'm not paying money for that. So there's only, I think there's something like 5-6 hours worth of stories up there on SoundCloud, but they're fun, they'll entertain you. Same with Medium, though, there's a bunch of stuff on Medium. I'm probably going to put a few more up there now, I think. There's a bunch of them, which I have not submitted to a project, which I'm going to put up there because it's very different from the first. It's first version of the novel, which is an interesting concept as a different idea. So I think I'll put the whole thing up there. Publishing wise, you may well see a couple of novels coming out in the year or so, a couple of horror novels. I have not actually had the time or patience to submit them to publishers yet. But I think that's coming up in the next 2 or 3 months. So I'll start subbing to publishers these things to see where we get. And they should be quite successful, I guess. They're polished out. I know what fans are looking for. I'm fairly sure I know what publishers are looking for after so many years of writing. So I think we'll get somewhere with those. If there are a couple of novels coming out, you'll be the first.
Well, thank you. Normally, I list all of my guest works and materials and links on the show notes on my website, aaronbossig.com. I will also do that for yours, but you've actually gone one step further and allowed me to add some of your work specifically into the episode. So I'm going to append that onto our conversation at the end.
Oh, fun.
So I'm going to ask our guests to keep listening after the closing because some of your work is going to be coming up very soon.
Pull the blankets over your heads. Lock the doors.
Thanks very much, buddy.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Look forward to speaking to you again.